Okay, let's go from Perek Zayin, Mishnah Zayin, 7th Perek, 7th Mishnah. So this Mishnah is talking about when you have a mixture of different mixtures that'll create problems. So the first case, you have Mea Tevel Umea Chulin. You have 100 units of whatever it is of Tevel and 100 of Chulin. And our main problem we're going to have in these Mishnayos is the Trumas Ma'aser. In all these cases, Truma was already taken off, so we're not worried about that. The problem is you have to separate Ma'aser, which was not such a big problem because Ma'aser is permitted for anyone to eat, so it just becomes a monetary concern, and you could pay or exchange the Levi. The problem is Trumas Ma'aser is forbidden for a Zar to eat, so you have to take off Notel Me'av Echad. You take 101 from the total mixture. That way you for sure gotten one of the Tevel ones. That one will be the Trumas Ma'aser. Unfortunately, you don't know which one of the 101 that you separated it is, so you're going to have to give the whole thing to a Kohen. You can charge him for 100 of them, and then the one you'll give him as Trumas Ma'aser. If you have Mea Tevel or Meir Ma'aser, if you have 100 that need Trumas Ma'aser and Ma'aser taken off, and 100 that are Ma'aser, so they need 10% taken off as Trumas Ma'aser. So again, note the male of Echad. You take 101, 10 of them will be Ma'aser, and one of them will be Trumas Ma'aser for the 100 Tevel, and the other 90 you can charge the Kohen for. If you have Mea Chulim Sukanim, you have 100 that are Chulim that have been completely fixed, and Mea Ma'aser. So now you need 10 for Trumas Ma'aser. So now you can take Notel Mea Vasar, you're going to have to take 110 to make sure you get 10 as Trumas Ma'aser for the 100 Ma'aser. And again, you could charge the Kohen for the remaining 100 here. If your numbers are not the same, if you have Mea Tevel V'Tisha Ma'aser, you have 90 of Tevel, 100 of Tevel, and 90 of Ma'aser, or Tishim Tevel Shmeina Ma'aser, you have 90 of Tevel and 80 of Ma'aser. So if you have Ma'aser that's less than the Tevel, Lo Hafsid Klum, then you don't lose anything. You give the Kohen 90 as Ma'aser. Whether they're the same ones or not doesn't make such a difference because you could exchange those. And you'll take off from the Tevel however much it is you need to take off for Trumas Ma'aser, so either 1 or 0.9, and you'll give that all to the Kohen, and then there's no loss over here. This is our klal, and this is the rule. Kolzman shat Tevel meruba, as long as there's more Tevel than the Ma'aser, lo hafsid klum, you don't lose anything, you just give the Kohen the Ma'aser plus the Trumas Ma'aser, and that fixes all your problems. Okay. Mishnah Ches. Mishnah Ches is going to deal with, I made my Ma'aser somewhere, and I don't remember where in my storage house I said the Ma'aser should be. And again, the Ma'aser itself is not such a problem, because Ma'aser is a monetary obligation to the Levi, so I could exchange that. The problem is 10% of the Ma'aser has to be made into Trumas Ma'aser, and that has to be given to the Kohen, and it's forbidden for a non-Kohen to eat it. So the Mishnah says, Misha Hayalei Eser Shureis Shel Eser Eser Kadayayin. Someone who has 10 rows of 10 barrels of wine each. So he has his wine cellar is set up. He's got 10 by 10 barrels in a square. V'amar, and he says, Shura Hachitzaina Achas Ma'aser. He says one of the outer rows should be Ma'aser. On the other, so my 10%, no problem. I set up perfectly. I'll say one row should be Ma'aser, but Ve'eni Yodei Ezel, he forgets which row it was that he made the Ma'aser. So he doesn't know if it's the north side, the south side, the east side, or the west side. So what does he do? So here it's not so complicated. Notel shnei chavias loichsin. You take 2 barrels on opposite corners. Right, so let's say the northeast and southwest corner. That way you have a barrel in each of the 4 outer rows. And you'll give those 2 barrels to the Kohen as a Trumas Ma'aser, and that will solve all of your problems, and you'll have to give another 9 barrels as Ma'aser, but those can be exchanged.
So at one time he designated a row, but he forgot which one.
Right. Yeah. So you have to get one of the barrels in that row and give that as Trumas Ma'aser. Okay, that's the easy case. Now it gets more complicated. Let's say half his storehouse was already fixed, so he only needed to take Ma'aser from half of it. So he said, Chatzi shura hachitzoina achas Ma'aser. He said, half of one of the outer rows should be Ma'aser. So now it's not good enough to take two opposite corners, because many of the half rows don't reach those corners. Many days again he doesn't know which one it is. So noto arba chavios mi arba zavios. So he'll take 4 barrels, one from each of the 4 corners. That way again, each half a row is contained, is covered by each half of an outer row is covered by the barrels he takes. Okay. Let's say he said shura achas Ma'aser. He doesn't remember that it's an outer row anymore. He says, I know I made one of the rows Ma'aser. I don't know which row it is. And also problematic, I don't know which direction the row is going in. I don't know if it's going north-south or east-west. So then, noitel shura lichsin, then he'll take a whole row of barrels on a diagonal, right? Because the diagonal will cut through all the rows in both directions. And he'll take 10 barrels, and he'll give those to the Kohen. Again, one of them will be the Trumas Ma'aser, and the other 9 he could charge for. And if you make things even more complicated, Chatzi shuras eichas Ma'aser v'eni de'ezer. He says, I know I made half of one of the rows into Ma'aser, but I don't know where at all that half row is. Then, notel shtei shuras leichsin. Then he'll take 2 diagonals going through both ways. That way you'll hit
like an X.
That way you'll be taking 1 barrel from every half a row. And you'll have 20 barrels now. You can give those to the Kohen. Again, you could charge him for 19, but things are getting a bit more complicated. And finally, if you said chavis achas Ma'aser, if you said, I know I made one of the barrels somewhere in my storehouse Ma'aser, vein de'ezu, but I can't remember which one it is, so then there's really nothing you could do. So notul kol chavis v'chavis, you're going to have to take off 1/10 of each barrel and give that to the Kohen as possible Trumas Ma'aser from that barrel. And then the remaining 90% of each barrel you could keep, but right, losing track of where your Ma'aser is creates complications when you're trying to determine where your Trumas Ma'aser should be. Okay, this is the end of the Masechta. Hopefully tomorrow we'll review this last Mishnah, and then we'll start Kalim.